7 stories to help you stay grounded in a world of overwhelm. There are days when we wake up already breathless, chasing deadlines, bills, unread messages, meetings to prepare for, responsibilities piling up like mountains. We're still alive, but we've forgotten what it feels like to truly live. We still smile, but joy no longer lingers in our smile. And in a quiet moment, we might whisper to ourselves, is there a way to breathe lighter, without abandoning everything? Is there a path to inner peace, even in the middle of chaos? The answer is yes, but it doesn't come from running away or giving up. It comes from how we choose to live with our responsibilities, with a different heart. In this video, you'll hear 7 simple yet powerful stories. Not of perfect people, but of everyday souls who've discovered a quiet kind of joy through the way they see, breathe, give, and live with love, meaning, and mindfulness. Let these stories gently speak to your heart. And perhaps, somewhere in these lines, you'll find a reflection of your own journey too. Because life doesn't need to be perfect to be peaceful. It just needs one gentle choice at a time. To live with a little more stillness, a little more kindness, and a little more soul. Herb Story 1. The father who worked 3 jobs a day, but still said, I feel at peace. In a quiet town in Australia, there lives a Vietnamese father. By day, he delivers packages for a courier company. In the afternoon, he washes dishes at a local restaurant. And at night, he packs online orders from home. One relative once asked him, why do you work so much but always seem cheerful? Never irritable? He simply smiled and said, because I work to support my child's dreams, not to complain about my life. Every day, I choose peace in my heart, instead of resentment toward the world. One day, his son asked him with guilt in his voice, do you think life is unfair? Dad, other people get to work in air-conditioned offices, while you're out in the cold. The father looked at him, smiling gently. I used to think like that too. But then I realized, a peaceful life doesn't come from having less to do. It comes from a heart full of gratitude, not blame. I'm thankful for my health, and grateful that every dollar I earn comes from my own hands, and helps grow something beautiful. Every night, despite his exhaustion, he takes just 5 minutes to meditate. Not to escape life, but to learn how to walk through it, mindfully. Gem secret number 1. Peace doesn't come from fewer tasks. It comes from a heart that chooses love, gratitude, and no resentment. Some people work hard but still suffer. But those who live with gratitude are the ones who truly rest in their soul. Stew Story 2. Uncle Bei, the kitchen worker in Japan who offers free meals to his people. In a small alley of Osaka, Japan, there's a humble Vietnamese eatery that opens only from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. No big sign, no fancy menu, but among Vietnamese immigrants, it's affectionately known as Uncle Bei's Rice Place. Uncle Bei is over 60 now. He used to be a construction worker in the Mekong Delta. He came to Japan at nearly 50 to work as a cook in a Vietnamese restaurant. The pay isn't great, the days off are rare, but he finds deep joy in one quiet ritual. 2 nights a week, he cooks full Vietnamese meals, for free, just for Vietnamese living far from home. No one remembers when his kitchen became a safe haven for students short on cash, workers with delayed wages, newcomers lost in a foreign land. They are all welcomed with warm bowls of gun rao and go, crispy eggs, and a kind smile. Eat, my child, tomorrow, keep trying. Someone once asked, why do you do this? Uncle, you're still a worker yourself. Why not rest? He just chuckled. I used to sleep in parks. Lived on instant noodles for a week. Someone once gave me a hot meal, and I survived. Now, I'm just paying that kindness forward. And honestly, when I see them eat happily, my belly feels full too. One rainy night, only 2 people showed up, but he still cooked for 10. Then, early the next morning, he packed the leftovers and gave them to the homeless at the train station. No audience, no thank you needed. He lives simply, so that others may feel seen. Gem secret number 2. When you stop living only for yourself, your burdens grow lighter on their own. The secret to joy isn't reducing responsibility. It's turning duty into love, and becoming a warm flame that lights the space around you. Man in Lotus Position Story 3. The CEO who meditated 10 minutes a day and stopped yelling at his team. He's the CEO of an interior design firm with over 40 employees. A man once known for his fiery temper. One small error in a drawing, and he'd slam the table. A single customer complaint, and he'd shout at the whole team. He once admitted, "I wasn't managing a company. I was dumping my lack of self-control onto others." His wife often gently urged him, "Why don't you learn to pause?" But he'd always reply, "I don't have time to pause. My mind is always on fire." Until one day, his best employee, the one who had been with him since day one, handed in her resignation. Not because of the pay, not because of pressure, but because, "You're no longer someone I feel inspired to work for." That night, he sat alone in the office. No one was yelling at him. No one was pushing back. But he felt an unfamiliar kind of loneliness. And for the first time, he remembered his wife's words. Learn to pause. He turned to meditation. At first, just 3 minutes a morning. Then 5. Then 10. 10 minutes to breathe. 10 minutes before checking emails. 10 minutes to hear himself again before facing the chaos. Gradually, he realized, when the mind stops raging, the world softens too. When he paused, his team no longer feared approaching him. He listened instead of yelling. He asked, "What happened today that made things go wrong?" instead of blaming. And one day, that very employee returned. Because you're not the same boss anymore. Now, he tells his students, "I used to think success meant pushing harder and faster. But real strength came from 10 minutes of stillness." Gem secret number 3: outer peace begins with inner stillness. True peace doesn't mean avoiding responsibility. It means facing it with a calm and grounded soul. Only when we learn to pause daily can the world around us begin to change. If you're drowning in deadlines, juggling endless roles and worries, gift yourself just 10 minutes a day to sit, to breathe. Who knows? That might just be the beginning of a truly peaceful life. Story 4. The flower vendor in France, and her smile at 3 degrees Celsius. She's a Vietnamese woman living in the suburbs of Paris. Every morning, at 5 a.m., she's already at the train station, selling flowers, white daisies in hand, a warm smile on her lips, eyes that sparkle, even as icy winds cut through her thin jacket. Most passers-by hurry on, heads down, but her presence never wavers. One day, someone asked, "Why are you always so cheerful, standing out here in the freezing cold so early?" She smiled softly and said, "I don't sell flowers to survive. I live to give flowers to the world." She shared that when her husband passed away, she felt utterly lost, but instead of collapsing in grief, she used her last few coins to buy flowers. Each flower was a thank you to the man she lost. Each bouquet she sold, a blessing for the strangers rushing by. She doesn't have much money, but every morning, when a stranger smiles at a simple bouquet, she says, "My heart warms up. It feels like I'm still being loved." Gem secret number 4: when we give beauty to the world, peace finds its way back to us. True joy doesn't come from grand gestures. It comes from small acts, done daily, with love, and sometimes, giving even a single flower can light a candle in someone else's soul. Chopsticks story 5. The Japanese mother who lost her son, and the healing bento she makes each morning. She once had a son in junior high school. One cold winter morning, while riding his bicycle to school, he was struck by a vehicle and never made it home. For months, she lived like a ghost. She didn't want to eat. She didn't want to speak. She didn't want to go on. But one early morning, she got up and made a bento lunchbox, just like she used to make for her son every day. No one would eat it, but she made it anyway, every day, as if her son was still around, somewhere. Then she began writing small messages on each box. "Wishing you a good day. Salmon in today's bento, just like you liked. Thank you for being the light of my life." Later, she opened a small bento shop. She only sold lunchboxes. Each one included a loving note, sent to workers. students, or elderly folks living alone. When asked why she continues, she simply smiled and said, "Because when I give love to others, it feels like my son is still alive, in each person who receives it." Gem secret number 5: turning pain into love makes us light, not victims. True peace doesn't always come from the absence of pain, but from how gently we walk through that pain. When we transform grief into kindness, we become more than survivors. We become light for others. Car story 6. The delivery mom, and the gift of a smile. She's a single mother in California. She drives for delivery services from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Each day stretches her to the limit, balancing motherhood, exhaustion, and debt from a painful divorce. One day, while delivering to a luxury neighborhood, a customer shouted at her for being late. Instead of snapping back, she smiled and simply said, "I'm sorry. I hope you have a peaceful day." The customer paused, taken aback. She later shared, "I used to think being tense meant I was being responsible. But now I know, if I can hold onto my smile, I won't pass the stress on to my child." Every day, she reminds herself, "Everyone I meet is already tired. If I add more anger, then who will be the one to offer a bit of softness first?" She doesn't have much, no vacations, no one to lean on. But she owns something no one can take away: the power to choose her attitude. Light bulb secret number 6: if you can't change your situation, change the energy you bring to others. Keeping a smile isn't about pretending to be strong. It's about reminding yourself, you are still the master of your inner world, even when the outer world feels like chaos. Herb story 7. The Vietnamese cleaning mother in Australia, who raised 2 doctors with pure love. In a quiet, humble corner of Sydney, Australia, lives a Vietnamese mother who has quietly spent her life doing the work most people overlook. Her name is Nguyen Thi La Hoa, a Vietnamese woman who immigrated to Australia in 1991. With nothing more than a few clothes, 2 small children, and a simple dream, she cleaned shopping centers in the early morning, then moved on to clean a local school until late afternoon. From 5 a.m. to nearly 6 p.m. each day, her hands never stopped working. But her story wasn't about the spotless floors or the long hours. It was about the way she returned home, with a warm smile, a hot pot of rice, and quiet nights sitting beside her children, helping them with homework under a dim yellow light. She never let a single day pass without teaching them gratitude. She never served a single meal without gently reminding, you don't have to be rich, but you must always be kind, and never give up. Those 2 little children later became doctors at major hospitals in Sydney. But when asked who inspired them the most, they didn't hesitate to say, "Our mother, the woman who cleaned floors with more dignity than anyone we've ever known." "I don't have a fancy degree," Mrs. Hoa once said, "but I believe if we live each day with kindness, hard work, and perseverance, luck will come. Maybe not to me, but it will come to my children." And maybe life truly heard her prayer. Light bulb secret number 7: true peace doesn't come from status, but from love poured into every small act. In a world obsessed with titles and spotlight, there are people like Mrs. Hoa, who live quietly with love, patience, and dignity, and it is often they who build the greatest legacies, in silence. Dear friend, these 7 stories weren't told to entertain. They were shared to gently remind us, even when responsibilities pile up, even when life feels overwhelming, we can still live with peace. All it takes is choosing to live differently, to be a little more grateful, to slow down a little more, to give a little more, and to love a little deeper. If these stories warmed your heart, please consider sharing them with someone you care about, or leave a comment below speech balloon, so we know you're here, walking this journey with us. The light within will always be here to walk with you as you learn to live each day with more peace, more purpose, and more light.